free press, what the future of the free press on Twitter looks like. Are news organizations going to stand by as the reporters are just, hastily banned without explanation? CNN is saying it's going to reevaluate its relationship with Twitter based on the response it gets. I want to read you the full statement, Allison. It says, the impulsive and unjustified suspension of a number of reporters, including CNN's Donnie O'Sullivan, is concerning but not surprising. And it goes on to say Twitter's increasing instability and volatility should be of incredible concern for everyone who uses Twitter. And then it goes on to say, we have asked Twitter for an explanation, and we will reevaluate our relationship based on that response. And I think it's so important to point out that Twitter really really relies on news. I mean, that's what kind of the...
Look at that rat. Total rat, as Alex Jones says. He's a rat.
He's got little rat eyes.
Shill for globalism, shill for the corporate media. And, he's calling out Alex Jones, calling out the where the populist movement is at. The populist movement is behind Elon Musk. They're behind Alex Jones. They're behind the people that want freedom and want to restore decency in this country. And he seems to do this for money. What do you think of Oliver Darcy, man? Total clown.
He is a clown. That's one of the biggest problems we have. We got guys like this on CNN and on what was formerly known as Twitter, running the show, telling people what they can think, telling people what they're allowed to express. I am so sick and I'm so tired of clowns like that having a microphone and being able to control the airwaves. That's why.
The only clowns that should have microphones is us.
Exactly. I was going to call us clowns, but...
I went there. Sometimes we clown around and we have jokes. That's what we want to do. We want to bring you politics and a few laughs at the same time, and that's why we're here, and we're going to be dissecting that today. Man, we are not fans of the mainstream media, and I have not been fans of mainstream media for quite a long time. Do you see any truth in any major outlet from CNN, MSNBC? It's all just corporate jargon thrown at you to protect their big pharma, to protect their government corruption, and all of it.
Yeah, I think the last good person on the news was Tucker Carlson, and what did Fox News do to them? They got rid of him. They couldn't let him speak the truth on Fox News. They couldn't let him tell people what was actually going on in the world. And so that's one of the reasons I'm so sick and tired of the corporate shills, Oliver Darcy and his nonsense that he spews to the American and people as well as the world.
Man, the ratings say it all. We're going to get into that today. We're going to talk a little bit about, the freedom movement is what I like to call it. We see big globalists like Elon Musk supporting this now, which is good because we do need the big money on our side to fight the globalism because it's a battle of money. So thanks for being here today. Is BasedCast 72. Today is Monday, December 11th. We're 3 weeks away from Christmas. So I hope you guys are feeling the Christmas spirit. And it is exciting. So we're going to be talking about that. And then a few other, we got a lot of attacks on, I would say, the free speech and lots of censorship from what I call the censorship czars. They love to take away your free speech because they have to protect their corporate dollars. So thanks for being here. If you like, subscribe, share this with your friends so they can get in on the action. Let's get into the show today. Well, it is a big milestone for Base Boys. We hit 50 subscribers, and that is big for us. We're a fast-growing platform, world's #1 podcast, if you guys didn't know. It's the fastest hour on the internet as well, and it's just exciting to be here and be behind the microphone to share our thoughts and our beliefs and join in on the action to combat the big tech censorship and challenge the corporate narrative that is trying to take over America and take over the sovereignty.
Yeah, they're shoving all of their woke ideology, their propaganda, their disinformation down our throats. And so that's why we're the answer. We're the answer to all of the different nonsense that's being pushed on the American people. It's time to wake up. It's time to be based. It's time to be boys.
Okay, well, maybe not the boys part, because I think women watch this show too, don't they? Yeah, you're probably right. They're in the kitchen.
Exactly. we don't allow internet in the kitchen.
Oh, we love it. So, well, thanks for being here. Again, it is the 72nd episode. We're chugging right along. Hit our 50 subscribers. And today we're talking about Elon Musk had a great interview with Alex Jones. And this is crazy because I honestly never thought that we would get to a point where we have big tech billionaires supporting Alex Jones. Because Elon Musk definitely is not a conservative. Because what does Alex Jones get labeled as? He's a far right, alt-right conspiracy theorist by the media. Conservative. If you listen to what he says, he's super conservative. You never thought Elon Musk would be backing that. But like we say all the time here on Base Boys and BasedCast, it's not about your basic policy. It's not left or right to me. Right now, as Elon Musk says in some of the clips we're about to play, it's you're either pro-human or you're pro-death cult. You're pro-America or you're pro-globalism, and the globalist movement is not in the best interest of here in America. Maybe if you live in a country that doesn't have a constitution or a Bill of Rights or the idea that America has, maybe. But do you see it that way?
I do see it that way. I'm 100% on your side with that.
Oh, you better be. This is BasedCast.
I'm 100% on your side with that. And how many billionaires side with free speech? You see Bill Ackman? No.
Bob Iger,
Tim
Cook.
Exactly. See, like all these billionaires, they go out of their way in order to censor speech. Even speech that I don't care for. Like I know, was it Bill Ackman? He has the Who Supports Palestine list and will never get a job in Wall Street list. They don't support free speech. Whether you love them, hate them, you love the ideas, hate the ideas, people have the right to speak their mind and voice what they believe. And so when you have the tyrants going after individuals saying, Alex Jones, his ideas that he shares is too dangerous for you, our audience, for you, Zane, for me, they need to control the narrative. And that's one of the biggest problems with our current system that we have right now, is it's so centralized. You get banned off Facebook, you get banned off Twitter, now X, you get banned off Google. What do you have left? Nothing. Who's going on Parler, which is a dead platform now, and saying, hey, stop taking vaccines, they're dangerous. When you have that much control over the system, who needs to ban speech? Who needs to let the government needs to do anything when Google can do it for them?
Yeah, and there's much more than just a lack of free speech. They are trying to run the country. It's what we call a technocracy. It's where the experts run the world. And these experts that run these big tech companies, they get to go out there and say, this is what's right, this is what's wrong. If you say anything that goes against our grain, you're not going to have a platform. You don't have to. And we're new creators here. We're new to the social media world when it comes to as a Base Boys media brand. And we've already seen our first warning from YouTube by simply suggesting that there's a depopulation agenda. So it's a technocracy that's trying to put the experts in charge and trying to remove the representative government. They don't want us to have representatives that represent the American ideology at all.
How dare we state the obvious? Gah! YouTube's right. We shouldn't be stating the things that we can see clearly in front of us. And to get into the story, since we're going to be talking about Elon Musk and Alex Jones and how he's been reinstated, I pulled up the CNN Business where it talks about how right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones is a fringe minority figure who uses the airwaves to use deceptive and dangerous views, to share dangerous and deceptive views. They start off the article of that. You know that the corporate media is in trouble. You know that they are afraid of free speech when they have to outline someone who has clear and concise views that are more often than not true.
Yeah, I mean, he's made a lot of predictions, and he's kind of foreshadowed over the last 20 to 30 years being in media what is going down. And you have a lot of people on his side. You have a lot of media figures. And what really bothers me mostly about the whole ordeal is you have Oliver Darcy goes on CNN and says, and then in some of the tweets that we're going to get to in here in a moment, we might as well just get into it. Let me pull it up. Where did it go here? I did have it. There it is. So some of the things that Oliver Darcy says. So weird seeing people casually post on the zombie bird site as if everything there is normal. So you have Oliver Darcy with this type of rhetoric saying that nobody is using this zombie bird site when you can see the analytics do not lie. So this Twitter, Elon Musk recently had a Twitter interview with Alex Jones and a bunch of notable people. Had Andrew Tate, Patrick Bet-David, which gets millions of views. Matt Gaetz, which is, making a storm in Congress. General Michael Flynn, all these people that are pro-America and may not even be totally conservative are coming together and rallying with Alex Jones because he's basically a martyr for free speech at this point. But how can you sit there and say this when your numbers aren't even getting anywhere near this? I mean, we're talking millions of views at the Tucker interview within a couple hours. Millions, 11 million views, I believe, is what it's at right now, is the Twitter space that was had. What else did Mr. Oliver Darcy say? The looming move from billionaire Musk, who has promoted conspiracy theories himself and elevated a number of extreme voices since taking over the platform, is likely to imperil X even further as companies distance themselves from the troubled platform, which is seen to hate speech. So to give you guys context, I don't know if we covered it, but Elon Musk has let Alex Jones back on the platform, which is a huge win for freedom of speech, regardless of whether you believe him or not. Do you really think this is perilous to X? I mean, I think, honestly, the only people it's perilous to is the corporate narrative that controls this country, or that is trying to control the country anyways.
That is a good point. The one thing that if I took a little bit of an outsider view, my big concern is that a billionaire controls X. If there was a way to take Elon Musk and almost remove him from X so that X can be a true free speech platform, because currently Elon Musk has the power to reinstate Alex Jones. He has the power to reinstate Donald Trump. He has the power to take him away as well, which to me is in and of itself problematic, because I don't want one person to have the reins of power. In my ideal world, Twitter wouldn't be controlled by one billionaire who has the ability to say, you're allowed. What happens when Elon Musk, or if Elon Musk sells it to Mark Zuckerberg? What happens if BlackRock buys it off of him? Let's say Elon Musk and his shares in Tesla drop and he has to start liquidating assets, and Twitter or X is the first thing to go. Who's picking it up? The Shah of Iran? Who's buying it? Would it be Zucchiniberg? Would it be Bezos? All of these are, to me, problematic outcomes, because I don't want one person, even though I do really like what Elon Musk is doing, I don't want one person to have the power. Because, for example, when Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon, it was worried that he would become emperor, so he had to be killed. Did they make the right choice by killing him, even like to stop him becoming an emperor? Yes, they killed him, but someone else rose up in his place. And the same thing, Elon Musk, his entity can be destroyed, but will someone else take the reins and actually be a tyrannical dictator?
Yeah, I mean, you make a great point, because, I mean, he may be making the moves that's in the best interest for freedom of speech, but freedom of speech should not be put on a referendum. I was thinking about this before we showed the poll on Saturday about his 70% saying yes, bring Alex Jones back on, 30% saying no. I don't think freedom of speech should be left to a referendum by a biased group of people, because I believe that majority of that was probably pretty biased. But yeah, do you agree? Do you think there should be a referendum for having somebody that did not commit a crime? He literally talked about Sandy Hook for 15 minutes, because that's the whole thing that they tried to implicate Alex Jones on, trying to take him down, was the whole Sandy Hook situation, which didn't even arise till 6 years later in 2018 when he was making a storm and gaining more traction. They like to make you think that he was banned because of what he said for Oliver Darcy, but I think the bigger picture is because he was challenging the narrative. He was going against what these corporations and government figures are doing.
That is a good point. That is a good point, because they went after him from something. Because even when I pull up the CNN article to get kind of well versed in what the opposition is thinking, because I always try to get what do I think, what is the narrative, and what does the opposition think. Even when I look at the opposition, I do see the fact that they keep on pushing Sandy Hook. That was in paragraph number 2 of the CNN article, where they talk about how he pushed dangerous conspiracy theories that got people hurt and was sued for $1 billion. There is a big attack on our freedom of speech. There is a big attack. And I don't know if Elon Musk can single-handedly restore free speech. So I do like the fact that so many people are currently coming together right now, discussing ways in which they can actually push forward humanity, push forward society, push forward us as a people. Because if they can take down our freedom of speech, they can take away our guns, because who's going to speak out? Because it's violence to talk about guns.
It's a team effort, man. In order to attack the threat we face as Americans, we all have to be on the same side. Kind of have to throw your little differences away, your small political differences, and put them aside, because there's a larger threat at hand. It's taking away the sovereignty through globalism is what we're seeing. And I like that we do have some sort of a tech billionaire on our side, because there really hasn't been a lot of big money in the movement for working class Americans, and he seems to be on that side because he supports the family a lot, and that's one thing you don't see a lot of billionaires talking about. He brings this up quite a bit, and this is something we're going to show you in this quick clip. Is Elon Musk talks about all the time that we need to be having 2.1 children on average to continue to populate the earth. And you see these globalists, they talk about how we are overpopulated and there's too many people, but he suggests that there could be another 10 billion people on this planet and we would be fine and we could thrive, and there's plenty of resources to go around, but corporations make you think differently. So let's play this real quick from Elon Musk and his interview with Alex Jones and others.
Like something that is really important is like you just literally have to have kids, or there's no next generation. I mean, Alex, do you have kids?
Yes, I do. I'm not as prolific as you, but I wish I was. It's the best thing in my life. I have 4.
Okay, great. And Andrew?
I do have a few. I won't let you down, Elon. I'm coming to take over your title. I'm coming to take over. I'm doing my best. I gotta use my good looks for something.
Well, I think we ought to encourage people to have kids,
and this is the bottom line argument. This is what is so important. We just talked about how the globalists are ultimately selfish and only care about their own power.
Most of the globalists don't have children.
Of course, because they're selfish.
I think like something that is really important is like you just literally have to have kids, or there's no next generation. I mean, Alex, do you have kids?
Yes, I do.
Well, there it is, folks. You gotta have kids. And what do you see nowadays? You see the younger generations. You probably speak to most younger generations. They're not wanting to have kids. They want no part in that. They don't think it's a viable option in life. You see the dinks, as they call them, the dual income, no kids. You see the trend on Twitter. You see stuff like this. This is pretty cringy to me. So Shane Dawson, Micah, do you know who Shane Dawson is?
I've heard the name, not too
okay,
familiar.
You're lucky son of a bitch over there. Okay, so he's a celebrity, and he's in the past he's openly justified pedophilia and admitted the search for CP. Now I usually don't try to attack leftists, but this is a growing trend amongst homosexuals, having surrogate mothers and having children. So Rylan Adams and Shane Dawson just purchased 2 baby boys. This is legal. This is legal, by the way. Is that disgusting? I'm sorry. I'll be extremely based on this. I think it's disgusting, and that shouldn't be a thing. For no reason given either. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, it is. Like, if we look at them, they're openly calling for CP. Not so sure if the actual word will get us banned, but they want cheese pizzas.
Cheese pizza.
They want the cheese pizzas, and now they are buying kids. I do think that in many ways the left is lost. We can't save them, but conservatives, we can get them to understand that this is moral depravity at its finest. And allowing people in our political movement, like a Dave Rubin, to buy kids the same way that they are, is moral depravity. And I think every single person in the conservative world should call out, I'm going to go a little further than you, Zane, these sickos, these disgusting degenerates for what they are doing, buying children and fulfilling their fantasy of being fathers or being whatever to kids that are not their own.
Notice how most of them are boys they have? I've noticed this trend. They're not having many girls. It's a lot of boys. But besides the point, it's that's the downfall of society. That's how you depopulate society, is push that upon the people. But that's one of the good things I took away from it. Just watching this interview is it's pro-human versus pro-death cult at this point, and that's what they mention in this as well. Let's play a clip here from Andrew Tate. Always got to reference Andrew Tate.
Top G.
When who pays attention, and it is scary, and expansion and humanistic views are certainly the way to progress, and it has to be done. There's no other way. Just like a business, just like you guys said, if you stand still, you die. And it takes a few brave people to break the matrix. You have to break the dam, and I think bravery is so important because it puts a crack in the dam, and it shows that if there's people out there brave enough to risk getting canceled, risk lawsuits, risk lawfare, then it's going to inspire bravery amongst the rest of the populace. And it becomes extremely hard to lie to brave people. And I think that that's one of the largest pandemics of Earth today is bravery. And when I say bravery, I don't mean that in any kind of negative connotation. Bravery is being full of love and loving the people around you and sticking up for your community and loving where you live and loving your country. And it's brave to do those things. And it's love.
What do the globalists teach us? Children are bad. We're ugly. Humans create all this racial division. They want us to hate each other, so we just give up, roll over, so the globalists can have the future.
I would just like to say here, the globalists are short-sighted too, because the thing is that you can't really separate yourself from civilization. So I think those who are sort of advocating, like it's really, I think it's just logical to be pro-civilization. You don't actually necessarily have to be altruistic. You just have to think long-term and say, obviously, you cannot exist in any good way without civilization. I mean, just watch one episode of Naked and Afraid, and see how much you want to go live in a forest by yourself.
Well, we're in a super pivotal moment now, and the reason we're in a pivotal moment is because the machines cannot do the policing as of yet. My brother and I often talk about how bad COVID would have been if they had Terminator machines. You didn't have your mask on. You couldn't even appeal to the empathy of the person who knew how insane it all was. As soon as the machines control the policing, it's absolutely over, and we're not that far away. So we're in a very pivotal period now where the bravery that's required to resist the globalist oppression has to happen now. Soon the technology will exist, and it's over for everybody.
We are at a critical crossroads right now in the entire future of the human destiny, and I called it Plan B, but I mean, Elon, what do you call it? Just an alternate plan for humanity? Because we should have a debate, because the BlackRocks and the globalists are right now in control. They were 100% control. You and others have helped rested to maybe they're in 80% control. They're losing control very quickly as people discover what they're doing. But what would you call the debate and discussion about a pro-human future? Just team humanity?
Yeah, team humanity. Absolutely. That sounds good.
While other networks lie to you.
There we said, pro-humanity versus pro-death cult. And we can't stay stagnant. We've got to continue to grow. Another quote in the interview that Elon Musk says is we can't stay stagnant. I mean, even Andrew Tate referenced it, but you're either growing or you're decaying. You can't find really a happy, steady medium in anything. For example, freedom is not free. You always have to continue to fight for the freedom. You can't get stagnant with it. Once you start turning your head and thinking and getting complacent, that's when evil rears its ugly head.
Yeah, and they literally are saying what you've been saying for this whole channel, is it is tyranny versus freedom. It is liberty versus oppression. That's one of the biggest things that people don't understand in our space, is that we're not fighting necessarily against our neighbors. We're not necessarily fighting against the liberals. We're not fighting against the left. We're fighting against oppression. We're fighting against tyranny. We're fighting against the mind virus that they push upon people, because most people don't want death. And the death cult, as you call them, the death cult wants you to die. The death cult doesn't want you to succeed. The death cult wants you dead. And that's one of the biggest problems that we have, is the death cult is so against us because we do stand for liberty. We do stand for freedom of speech. If they can take away our freedom of speech and, dare I say call out the homosexual agenda, dare I say call out transgenderism, dare I even go as far as calling out the Green New Deal and taking away people's liberty and prosperity by stripping them of free, or not even free, but just cheap energy, they're able to push you further and further into not having kids. We've seen this in the West, and we've also seen this in a lot of other countries, like Japan or Korea, where because the cost of living and the cost of energy and the cost of life becomes so expensive, you can no longer afford to have kids. And whether that is their agenda to make everything so expensive and inflate homes so that people of our generation can't afford to live and have children and have a prosperous life, maybe that is their agenda. I don't know. But one thing I know for sure, it is liberty, freedom, truth versus oppression and death.
And you have to know your enemy. That's the thing, is we get so divided in the polarizing politics. You have to know your enemy. It's the globalists. It's entities that run this country that are not representative of we the people. They don't represent the interest. They represent their own interest. And I mean, we have so much foreign invasion of corporations and entities that get to control what happens in this country. And I don't think most people know their enemy, and that's what we want to expose. And that's what we truly believe at heart is it's the NGOs, it's the nonprofits, it's sold out politicians that do insider trading till they die. That's what runs the country, and that's where you have to know your enemy. It's not your brothers and sisters. You know, what is the great Bible quote, Micah?
We're not battling against flesh and blood, but we're battling against powers and principalities.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head there. The Bible hit it on the head. And that's what it's all about to us. And I want to ask you this, Micah, audience, if you guys are paying attention, are you guys prepared to be imprisoned? Maybe not imprisoned, but are you prepared to lose something in order to gain something? Because, like I say, freedom isn't free. You're going to have to make a sacrifice, especially at the perilous moment that this country's at. I mean, we see people being locked up from 3 months all the way to 20 years for being pro-America, pro-freedom, and, you know, being against the institution. Elon Musk even says it in this clip here with Jack Posobiec. Let's take a listen.
Though the FBI, the DHS, etc., if they reach out to X, I believe they called it defensive briefings in 2020 regarding, which eventually culminated in the censorship of Hunter Biden. If they started reaching out again, would that be something that you or the team, and no, I can understand if you don't want to answer now, but you would consider making public?
We will be as transparent as possible with that, you know. And frankly, if I think a government agency is breaking the law in their demands on the platform, I would be prepared to go to prison personally if I think they are the ones breaking the law.
Pretty bold statement. Would you be prepared to go to prison for this, for the rights and of others? I mean, most people are pretty selfish and they do things just for them, and it's no blame on that because it's hard to do that. But what do you think?
Yeah, that one of the biggest things that we see is, I'm going to take a step back. Our earlier discussion, I'm going to tie it into this. People have been jailed for their beliefs. Donald Trump, he's looking down how many years? 700 years or so? 903? 904? Something like that. Indictments against him. He is fighting the system, and I hope he wins. Who is going up against him? George Soros funded DAs. That is his enemy. And so if I take it out a little bit further, George Soros, who is he? He is a globalist. He is a internationalist. He's the one pushing so many different agendas on us. He was the one that supported Black Lives Matter. And Black Lives Matter, what was one of their biggest mission statements? To dissolve the nuclear family. We have an entity that has infiltrated America, and they use the powers of our government. They use the FBI, which we all know the FBI is a black box in which no one can see inside of it, and they act as their own judge, jury, and executioner. There's so many different ways that people need and have to stand up against tyranny, because we see Elon Musk. I hope that he's fighting on our behalf. I hope that Donald Trump is fighting on our behalf. And I hope that they win on our behalf, because we can no longer have people like George Soros, or even if you want to go to the World Economic Forum, your buddy Klaus Schwab.
History is truly at a turning point.
Exactly. We have to resist their propaganda in every single way. And I don't know necessarily if we're going to win, but one of the things is we're going to go down with the ship and we're going to die trying. That's one of the reasons why we're not willing to censor ourselves. We're not willing to hold back. We're not willing to pull punches at this point, because everyone wants peace. Everyone wants, oh, why don't you guys just be a little nicer? Why'd you call out this person? Maybe your show would be a little bit more popular if you guys are a little bit down the middle. How can we be down the middle when we're in war? We are currently in a 5th generation war, an information age. How can we pull our punches when their goal is our annihilation?
And that's what most people want, is they want the comfort of knowing the certainty of money, and just the comfort of being not having to oppose anything and doing anything uncomfortable. And I think that's where what sets great men and average men apart is great men will go towards the uncomfortable situations and fight for their brothers and sisters, where the average man will just cower down to it. And it's not easy to do. And I think they're going to try to attack us. And furthermore, coming into 2024, into the election, because you can just see how much the United States federal government and these 3-letter agencies and these nonprofit organizations are literally, they just want to take away our freedom, and that's basically it. And I think we're going to get to a point where it's just going to ramp up even more, the attacks, the censorship. They could imprison Trump. Who really knows? But we see this coming from Fox News. We're going to be reporting on this a little bit early, but there was a cyber attack today. Kind of affected us a little bit. We weren't sure if we were going to come to you live today with this Rumble, because Rumble was down for several hours today, and this isn't the first time it's happened. Let's play this Fox News clip real quick.
Affiliated with China's People's Liberation Army have infiltrated critical services here in the U.S.
Alexandra Hoff joins us now from our nation's capital. Alex, this is not good.
No, it's not. I mean, this infiltration appears to be part of a broader effort to insert chaos into our logistical systems. The information collected could then be weaponized if the U.S. and China were to become engaged directly in the Pacific. According to reporting from the Washington Post citing multiple U.S. and industry security officials, China's cyber army is invading critical U.S. services, like an attempt to break into the system behind Texas's independent power grid. Other victims include a water utility in Hawaii, a West Coast port, and at least one oil and gas pipeline, according to that report you're seeing there. Brendan Wells, executive director of the Department of Homeland Security's cybersecurity agency, told the Washington Post this, quote, "It is very clear that Chinese attempts to compromise critical infrastructure are in part to pre-position themselves to be able to disrupt or destroy that critical infrastructure in the event of a conflict, to either prevent the United States from being able to project power into Asia, or to cause societal chaos inside the United States to affect our decision-making around a crisis." The report notes that over the past year, hackers affiliated with the People's Liberation Army in China have accessed the computer systems of about 24 critical entities.
Well, there it is. Cybersecurity, attacking our energy, our water supply, our Rumble channel. We had Chris Pavlovsky today, even the CEO of Rumble. He can confirm that this attack has been unprecedented and has been happening since this weekend. He suspects it's political, coming from activists and organizations that want to censor the creators, and potentially related to the J6 videos being posted on Rumble. I mean, going back to it, if you're the globalist entities and institutions that want to censor what's going on here in America, what other great way to attack us via cybersecurity? Because I think that's the one thing to really shake up society. I mean, you think a global pandemic with the shutdown would cause some problems. Cybersecurity, that is the way to attack any country. but we would see so much lost if there was a real cybersecurity threat. And that's not to fearmonger, but that's something that truly would worry me and hopefully you guys.
I would love to get your opinion on this. I would love to touch on that in 1 second. But what are your thoughts on the juxtaposition between Fox News saying it was China versus Chris, the owner of or the CEO of Rumble, who says this is an attack from, I'm going to use the term, the deep state, because we are actually going after different things like January 6th. What does China have to do with January 6th? I don't know. What is
But aren't they on the same side as these establishment politicians? I mean, they sell themselves out to China. I mean, Gavin Newsom, Joe Biden, have open conversation with Xi Jinping. Not to say that Xi Jinping is directly responsible for any of this, or China is directly responsible for any of this. I do see what you're saying. Like, Fox News goes straight towards China based off of what Washington Post is reporting. But you see them sell themselves out so much. I wouldn't be opposed to believe that it is an outside force, because so much that goes on into this country, whether it's the corporate media or government, it comes from outside forces that aren't America. I mean, we have the most corrupt corporate crime syndicate in the world, and I think America is a part of it. So I don't really know, but I just know that it's interesting that they attack Rumble.
Yeah, they attack Rumble. They attack their infrastructure they're trying to take down. We couldn't get our channel. We couldn't get on. Rumble was completely down. But one of my points is that I always am a little bit wary of when I see the news talking about the enemies like China, like Russia, like Hamas, like Iran, Iraq. That is something that always raises hairs on the back of my neck, because I kind of go like, yes, China could have been the one whose servers were attacking Rumble, but on whose orders? Was it someone like a Biden? Was it someone like a Soros? Was it someone like the World Economic Forum or the IDF? Because they all have their fingers in China. They all have connections. They all have deep ties and deep relations to that country. And so that's one of the things I look at, and I kind of go like, why am I being so pushed up against the Chinese people? I'm not saying that China's perfect, but what I'm saying is, are they currently being a pawn just like we are, where they're being primed as our number one enemy? Why are they being pushed so hard? Is there something more to this?
Are they trying to create a boogeyman?
Yes, that's exact thing. What would be the best thing? What would be the Hegelian dialect? Am I saying that right? What would be the Hegelian dialectic of China? A new Cold War. Who made money off the Cold War? All of the people who were military contractors. Reagan basically wrote a blank check to the military and said, have fun, build anything. Let's do Star Wars. That's the thing that I look at. And to tie it back into Rumble, the people like us who call out and question, saying, hey, maybe there's more to the story. Maybe there is some tyrannical dictator. Maybe there is some form of message that they are hiding, like January 6th, which basically threw a wrench into the arm of conservative movement, because we were so ashamed. Oh, how could we not have law and order? They threw a wrench in that. And so if we are finally quiet and we're finally not speaking on that, doesn't that just help the globalist agenda? Because then the people are too afraid to rise up because something may happen again.
Maybe it's just all one big psyop to be up against, to turn us against the theoretical boogeyman, they call it, a false enemy that's not really your enemy. When I say the word boogeyman, because we see what we call the predictive programming. People are calling this movie out. I didn't know about this movie till about yesterday. It's called Leave the World Behind. It's an Obama-funded movie that Obama's produced this movie. But basically, the entire premise of the movie is a cyber attack that shuts down and powers the United States. And this just recently came out. And then we see this cybersecurity this cyber attack that's being promoted. Maybe the whole thing is just a psyop. They're like, oh, we're going to put this movie out, make you think it's predictive programming, and then you see a cyber attack happen, and then you're like, oh, yep, they're trying to attack us, but it's all just the whole psyop is to make you think That's what it is, to make you think there's a false enemy. I mean, you make up a really good point. But let's take a look at the quick clip from this woke movie, because it's not only is it about cyber attack, but it's also woke as well.
I'm asking for you to remember that if the world falls apart, trust should not be dulled out easily to anyone, especially white people.
Especially white people.
Don't you hate those gosh darn people?
Those white people are the worst. And you know what else I hate is your camera, because your camera just died, or maybe got disconnected. Let's see what we can do here. You may have just died. Give us one moment, and we will be right back after this short sponsored ad by Pfizer. All right, folks, we're back. We have all types of technical difficulties. That is, part of being a new podcasting company. We don't even have your own control room crew. Someday we will. When we get the big dollars flowing in, we'll have it all. But what do you make of that last clip we played? Especially white people, throwing it in there. Those damn white people, they get you every time.
I would probably say that it's just more attacks from, I don't know, whoever it is. And probably the camera problem was exactly what was going on with the Rumble. They're attacking us too, you know?
Yeah.
Telling too many truths. Calling out January 6th as well. So I just want to really quickly read off one of the chats we just got here. Rumble said it was China before, too. They tweeted a map of DDoS address last month. It was all in China. And yeah, Biden knows about it. China is his buddy. What's your take on that?
Well, just as I was saying a moment ago, we sell ourselves out to China. You know, you see these meetings and all the payments, Hunter Biden taking all this money from China. We see the corrupt business dealings that were sold out by other countries. We're not working for the American people anymore. We don't represent the interests of the American people anymore. And we represent the corporate oligarchs. We represent the corrupt communist governments. So, I mean, I don't think Fox News is wrong for putting blame on China. I mean, yeah.
That is a really good, interesting point. I really like that. Very insightful. Because it is one of those tough things where we look at it and go, who is really to blame? Is this is this something that they're trying to put on us? Are they trying to get us into war? Is it the same thing where they're using their pawn China in order to sow chaos in the United States? Because did you remember hearing about all of the election meddling that China supposedly got up to on behalf of Biden, where they're printing ballots? These are the type of things I look at and go, there's a lot of questions that we need to be asking here. There's a lot of ways in which I am worried and I question whether or not what we're hearing is true.
Who knows? Well, to get into the next story here, we always see the censorship and we see the insanity of corporate leaders calling out what we should censor and what we shouldn't censor. And our great friend Al Gore, you love Al Gore, don't you?
Great man.
Great man. He's made a lot of great, accurate predictions about global warming, which turned out all to be false. I believe the one movie he made ended up, everything he said in the movie ended up being wrong. I believe in early 2000s he said that ice caps were going to be melted by a certain year. And were they?
Our polar bears are all swimming right now. Poor guys, they had to come down to where we are.
Oh, well, here's Al Gore here. He is at the COP28 summit, and he's got some choice words to say about democracy, and he compares compares it to AR-15. So let's see what he has to say.
To one based on broadcasting and then moving on to the internet and to social media has disrupted the balances that used to exist that made representative democracy work much better. Because a free self-governing people rely on a shared base of knowledge that serves as a basis for reasoning together collectively. But if you have social media that is dominated by algorithms that pull people down these rabbit holes that are a bit like pitcher plants, these algorithms, they are the digital equivalent of AR-15s. They ought to be banned. They really ought to be banned. It's an abuse of the public forum. But when people are pulled down these rabbit holes, you know what's at the bottom of the rabbit hole? That's where the echo chamber is. And if you spend too much time in the echo chamber, what's weaponized is another form of AI, not artificial intelligence, artificial insanity. I'm serious. I'm serious.
His metaphors are great, comparing free speech to AR-15s. You call it a rabbit hole all you want, and I do believe that there are echo chambers in media for sure, where people just echo the same nonsense over and over again. But at the same time, free speech is the utmost important thing to this country. Because imagine if we would have had free speech during COVID. Imagine if we would have had free speech during those times, and people like Alex Jones to be on Twitter to call out the insanity, your artificial insanity, Mr. Gore, whatever you want to freaking call it.
I really love his choice of words, going down the rabbit hole. You know, if we use some Alice in Wonderland or even the Matrix, what is down the rabbit hole? Truth. And that's that's what I find really, really fascinating about that. He's like, please don't go down the rabbit hole because it's dangerous. Who's it dangerous for? It's dangerous for Al Gore. It's dangerous for his people, because when people actually can go down the rabbit hole and actually see what's going on with the agenda, let's see what's actually happening behind the closed doors. See, Alex Jones was right about the Bohemian Grove. See, Al Gore is completely wrong about global warming and that big hoax that they're all pushing on us. We then finally get to the point where we realize, oh, when I get to this rabbit hole, yeah, I'm sort of concerned about echo chambers, not from our side, but from the left. When they're echo chambers of, oh, transgenderism is just love. That's an echo chamber. That is stuff that needs to be that stuff is dangerous. That stuff is like ARs. ARs aren't dangerous though. But I do love his choice of words, saying that going down the rabbit hole, finding truth, following the white rabbit down is the real problem. But it's really not, because the thing is I think a lot of patriots and a lot of people who are actually awakened to what's really going on had a moment of going down the rabbit hole saying, am I being lied to? And then they find out that they really are.
To me, the rabbit hole is just the truth that they don't want you to know. Of course they don't want you to go down the rabbit hole. And to make the equivalent of the information that you don't want to know to be just as dangerous as AR-15s, first of all, AR-15s aren't dangerous. It's the man behind the weapon. But just another metaphor these globalists will use to think that we're stupid or we're the insane ones. And I can't imagine who falls for this. Like, I really want to know who's on the side of these people. It's probably overly educated elites that attend Harvard and Penn University and all the top universities in the countries that get full ride scholarships for being able to pass the test. I mean, who do you think believes in this type of stuff and follows these people? How do these people have a supporting and a backing? I mean, it's mostly big government and, private PR firms that prop these people up.
It is. And even with what we're seeing now with BlackRock, where if you want investments and if you want to be able to really access the capital markets, you need to then follow and swallow the woke agenda. You need to follow the whatever Al Gore is pushing. those are the people who actually believe it. Because I'm not sure if necessarily a lot of companies are actually following along, because I talked about this a couple days ago with Disney. There's a huge battle going on within it right now because some of their biggest shareholders are BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. But also you have a whole bunch of different people like Elon Musk and Nelson Peltz who are trying to restore Disney, who aren't actually a part of the woke identity politics. They don't actually believe in this nonsense that's being pushed upon them. And so I want to continuously see people go down the rabbit hole, and I want people to feel open to different ideas, because they make it dangerous to believe anything except for the orthodoxy that they put out. In the same way, I mentioned this in the very beginning of our show, that I believe it's Bill Ackman. He wrote up a list. Who here does not support Israel? Who here is not in favor of Zionism? Because whoever is not a Zionist and whoever says anything wrong, in their opinion, I'm not putting a political statement on that. I'm just saying they're making lists and saying, if you don't believe exactly what we tell you, you'll never work in this industry, kid. That's one of the biggest problems. And I don't know necessarily if people are falling for it, but people are too afraid. And that's one of the biggest things. Because I know I went to university and the same type of nonsense was pushed down my throat. I had to take all the indigenous Native American studies, in which what they wanted me to do was say how evil Christians are and how horrible the white man was to the indigenous population. But the real issue that we have is people are afraid.
Lack of balls. People in this country don't have balls anymore, and they don't have they lack bravery, as Andrew Tate just said a moment ago in our opening videos. People don't have the bravery to speak out against the corruption. We live in a world where there's more money in deception and less money in speaking the truth. You know, I don't give a rat's ass about money. I mean, money, you need money to survive and to hit your goals, but at the end of the day, people are just constant sellouts, and we're sick of seeing it. We're sick of seeing the constant selling out of this country. And we need brave leaders. We need people that are going to go in, fight the deception, challenge the narrative, and create success for us. But thank God we don't have the... have you seen the new Ireland social media enforcer? This is great. This is going to be great. He looks like a goddamn cartoon character. I usually don't like to call out people's appearance, but he's trying to create a... yeah, we have another camera outage. We'll change that in a minute. You don't need to see me. You can just hear my pretty voice. It's okay. But look at this guy. Literally looks like a Disney character. Looks like somebody in Bob Iger's team made this guy. Kind of what he's looking like. What do you think about that, Micah?
I think that his eyeballs are a little bit off. You know, one's a little higher than the other. He's got the London look with the teeth. It's sometimes I look at that and I go like, where on earth do these people come from? No one looks like that who's normal. See, here's the thing about conservatives. Conservatives are actually real people, and the people who are falling for the schlop all look like that. This guy cannot make it on his own. This guy cannot exist without DEI and without pushing forward the propaganda and pushing forward identity politics, because that's the only thing he has. We look at the judge right now in the Trump case. He looks the same way. We look at all of the news contributors for MSNBC. A nice looking Brian Stelter, basically a male model, but if that guy was the epitome of attractiveness.
Man, that was a great rant. I'm gonna have to clip that. That was beautiful. You know, like I said, I don't like to attack people's appearance because I think you can look ugly and be a great leader, but just from the looks of it. But besides the point, in what he says from this political article, but early ahead of next year, the commission's powers, including levying potential hefty fines for infractions, take effect. Godfrey and his team of 75 regulators. 75 regulators. Now, this is Ireland. Obviously, they don't really have the structure of government that we do. Do you think those 75 regulators are going to do what's in the best interest of we the people? Or no. of I should say, the people of Ireland?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I've talked about this multiple times. What happened to Conor McGregor when he spoke out? He started getting investigated for hate crimes. He started getting investigated for crimes against the people of Ireland. It's just saying, hey, we need to stop the mass murder, the mass stabbings that are going on from Islamic fundamentalists against the Irish people. There is so many different ways in which we need people not to be falling for the propaganda that they're putting on us. I am sick and tired of them trying to control our speech. Biden did the same thing. He also hired a cartoon character who liked to sing and dance. Some reject from drama school who only could make it in public service through DEI and for being a failure in everything else except for working in the government. And that's why I hate the government, is because every single person who works in the government couldn't make it in the private sector, so they had to go schlob on the knob of Uncle Sam, or even in Ireland's case, whatever Ireland's called.
Yeah, well, I think they're doomed. Most people that are getting run by what I call the SARS of censorship, they're doomed, and it's not going to be good for the interests of the people. But let's play this clip. Let's play this guy's image one more time because it's just so beautiful. Look at that. I love it. Not to make fun of the guy, but
I don't know. If I saw him in person, I don't think I could hold back. I would. Okay, that has to be like,
it's a Disney character.
Oh my gosh.
It's a Disney character. But before we move on, I have I want to read T. Brooks 123's comment. You need ACs. Yes, we usually have a fan going on in here. The cameras run at 2160p generally, and when we don't have the fan on, they like to overheat. So we'll make sure that.
That's the technical answer. What the real answer is Zane and I are both spitting fire.
And so he also says that it's his first time here. So thanks for watching, man. Appreciate your subscribe. Just found the podcast, but had an idea. If you turn off the fireplace heat behind you, maybe the cameras won't overheat. We love it. So, well, moving right along into our last segment here. Man, our country wants to send more money to Ukraine, which you have to love. So we got Joe Biden is inviting Zelensky to the White House tomorrow. So I hope you guys will be tuning in. What do you think Zelensky's going to come over for? You think he's going to ask for more money?
Oh, gosh, no. He would never do that.
Never.
He's a respectable president of a nation who's never asked America once for money.
Yeah, I really would love to see Donald Trump back in office so we don't see the shenanigans. We don't see this clown, penis piano playing clown coming over here to ask for more money because they can't produce anything to generate their own money to fight their own damn problems. Because, let American industrialism and American corporatism and the American taxpayer dollar fund your problems.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems is with our taxation system is I get taxed. My money gets stripped from me. What is it? 39% of our income gets taken from us so that we can fund nonsense wars like this. My money can be given to DEI and gender studies in Pakistan. That's why we know that taxation is theft. Because my money, without my consent, without my approval, goes to Zelensky. I don't want to kill Russians. I don't want to kill Ukrainians. I want American money to go to American people. I want my taxpayers to actually go to build roads. Have you been driving on any roads recently? Nothing's been fixed. But instead, all of my money, all my tax-paying wages that get garnished, all go to clowns in Ukraine.
Yeah, and I think what we're going to see here is he's going to come over here. He's going to ask for more money, and Antony Blinken kind of solidifies that in his recent threat here to what's going to happen here. So let's play this clip from Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State, on CNN.
Foreign aid for Ukraine and Israel. Republicans are insisting on more border funding and new asylum restrictions that be added to the bill. What would it mean for Ukraine and Israel if Congress does not pass any additional support by the end of the year? And why not agree to tougher border protections, which is an issue of national security as well?
Well, Jake, the border piece, as you know, is out of my purview. But I can say this: I know on day one of this administration, or at least day two, the president put before Congress, I think, the first bill on immigration reform. Unfortunately, Congress hasn't acted on that. In this request for additional funds, there are $6 billion to enhance border security, including having more people, more agents on the border. So I know that's very much part of the discussion and something the president's fully prepared to engage on. But in terms of what it would mean for Ukraine, what it would mean for Israel, what it would mean for our efforts to be competitive in the Indo-Pacific, I think the only people who'd be happy if this supplemental budget request is not voted on and approved by Congress are sitting in Moscow, sitting in Tehran, sitting in Beijing. For Ukraine, this is absolutely vital. They've made remarkable progress over the last year in pushing back Russian aggression, taking back more than 50% of the territory that was seized since February of 2022. But they're in a ferocious battle now in the south and the east. We are running out of funding for them. By the way, 90% of the assistance, the security assistance that we provided Ukraine, is actually invested right here in the United States to our companies, to our manufacturers. Similarly, we've had extraordinary burden sharing with our allies and partners. We've provided very significant assistance, about $70 billion over the last 2 years. Our European friends and partners beyond Europe, more than $110 billion for Ukraine. So we have the burden sharing that we need. This is a time to really step up because if we don't, we know what happens. Putin will be able to move forward with impunity, and we know he won't stop in Ukraine, and he may well end up going after a NATO country. That would bring us in, given our obligations to our NATO allies. So here, an ounce of prevention is really worth 10 pounds of cure.
Sell us out even further, man. If we don't send $106 billion to Ukraine, it will fall. We need to launder more money through Ukraine and make it happen.
Yeah, one of our commenters said that's actually what it's for, is laundering money. We saw that with FTX, where what they were doing was funding the 2022 election. So much money is being used in Ukraine as a slush fund for the American elite, for our politicians. And I hate the slippery slope fallacy when it comes to Russia. If we don't stop Russia at Ukraine and on their borders, they're going to attack NATO next.
You're who cares? Antony Blinken can play this.
At least he can shred.
Yeah, we're gonna close the show out with a little Antony Blinken jamming session, because that's what we do. You know, he loves to launder money, and he loves to help the organizations and entities launder money, and he can jam on the guitar. And you know he's crazy because he's a lefty on the guitar. You don't see that very often. I don't know if you paid attention to that, but he's a lefty. Not many people play the guitar as a lefty. So he's gonna continue to jam out in the White House and launder money to Ukraine, and we're sick of it. We're sick of being sold out to every other country, and we don't serve the American people anymore. This is a constant theme on this show. Would you agree?
Yeah. One of our stated objectives is to call out crony capitalism, to call out corporate elitism, to call out all of the different things that are going on that basically strip away the American freedoms, the way the Americans live. And we see that not just with Antony Blinken, but with Biden, with Zelensky, with so many other of the puppets that are running our government right now, because they're all puppets for the corporate system. They're all puppets for the globalists. They're all puppets for the elite. That's one of the things I hate more than anything else, is that they think that us as Americans are dumb enough to fall for it. But the thing is, the American people are sick and tired. The awakened masses are done with following the slop, with being forced to obey. Americans are done bending the knee, and Americans are done bending the knee. I'm gonna leave it at that. Americans are sick and tired of allowing tyrants, allowing George Soros, allowing the World Economic Forum to dictate our lives, because we are Americans. We do not fall for this stuff. We are the ones who resist against the world. George Washington, in his speech that he gave right before leaving the office, said, "Don't get involved in the politics of Europe. Don't get involved in what they're doing over there. Stay America." And that's one of the things I want to say. Stay America, because Americans are different. Americans are special. Americans are not like the world. We fight tyranny. We resist the devil, and lastly, we are overcomers.
Yeah, we have to have brave men, bold men that are willing to take a challenge and fight against the corporate narrative and do something to make this country great again, because we've gotten too soft. What's the great saying? Good times create weak people create hard times create strong men, and then strong men will create those good times again. And we're at the cusp of good times ending right now. It's creating a bunch of weak people. I think we're still in that long transition. It plays out for a really long time, and it's going to create hard times for us, but strong men will prevail. And what they're trying to do is delete history with all the censorship, because it's easy to repeat the history when it's deleted. The history books are changed. I mean, I open up a history book. You open up a McGraw-Hill textbook. Most of it's completely taken out of context, and it's hard to believe anymore. I mean, when my children are going through school, I'm actually quite worried. That's why I'm going to stay away from public school and try to do as much private education as possible. People that actually believe in America, that are faith-based, to establish history. But I digress a little bit. It's all about attacking the narrative and freeing the mind of American people. And you're not going to save everybody. It's only a 20% is what we believe in, and I really think that we want to be the 20% to guide the other 80% that's not going to care, and really just change history, because if we don't do it, it's not going to go in our direction. So fight for America, fight for freedom, and try to save your brothers and sisters through faith. And I think that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. I'm 100% with you on that. We need to wake people up. We need to basically, it's time that Americans actually step forward, get their balls back, so to speak, and stop bending the knee to all of the global corporate interests that are trying to keep us down.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you guys for being on this episode of BasedCast 72. We usually stream Monday at 8:30 p.m., Tuesday through Friday, 8:30 a.m., and then on Saturdays, we have our Saturday Night Live show where we just kind of have a free-for-all on the show. We invite some guests, and we're a growing platform here, so we're looking to gain guests every day. We're looking to come up with more of a consistent stream time, so it's the same time every day. But being new creators, we do need this support. You're more than welcome to go to our locals page and subscribe to us there as well. And we are also on Twitter and Truth Social. We just need to gain and gather the following. If you like what you see, subscribe to our ugly mugs. We would love to have you guys on a consistent viewership. So thanks for being here, and we will see you guys tomorrow morning.